just going off the last kind of few issues, we've had Wolf Alice and Arlo Parks, who've both gone on to, be nominated and, for major awards like, the Mercury Prize. We've had, double Grammy winners, Black Pumas on the front of the mag. So, and then closer to home, people like Tim Burgess, bands like that, the Charlatans, and people who are kind of, I guess intrinsic to Manchester and Northwestern music culture as well.
Amos Madra.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I am joined by Tom Preece, who's the editor of Yuck magazine, which is all about the arts, culture and music publication based in Manchester. Tom, a warm welcome to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
And thank you for having me today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Tom, Yuck magazine, talk to us about that. When did it start and what's the publication all about?
So we started in 2019. Me and my co-editor, it was also called Tom, funnily enough. We were traveling in 2017, and we kind of wanted to, when we came back to the UK, kind of hone our sort of love for arts, culture, and music, and do something tangible with it. So that was a magazine. That was the idea that sort of came to us naturally. We were both lovers of print, so here we are today now into our eighth edition, coming out in February next year. And it's just, growing month by month, year by year, and we're really enjoying it.
And does it help being based in Manchester? Was that very? Did you do that on purpose, or was it just coincidental?
So we originally started in Preston whilst we were still studying. I was doing a master's, and Tom was doing his undergraduate. But we always saw Manchester as kind of the final destination for this. It's a massive kind of arts, culture, and music, city. The history behind the music in the city is just, so vast. And the venues, and it's a melting pot of creativity, Manchester. And it's luckily it's our home now. So it was always the kind of destination for the magazine.
And do you find that the creativity is still there? Is Manchester still producing the same sort of talent?
Oh, for sure. I think it's outside of London, it's probably the biggest city in the UK for kind of music and culture. It seems to kind of rail against the norm at the moment, where venues are being shut down, developers are coming in, and whilst there are instances of that in Manchester, especially with night and day at the moment, aside from that, it seems that culture and music especially is still growing in the city.
Yeah, it's good to hear that. And I was talking to a band the other day, and they were talking about, yes, it was difficult, especially over the pandemic, but venues are starting to open up again, and things are starting to get back to pre-pandemic levels again, which is good. So the way you distribute this publication, it's digital as well as the actual magazine itself, but it's not weekly. It's is it quarterly that you release it?
It is quarterly at the moment, yeah. I mean, we're looking towards kind of maybe doing 3 a year from next year onwards to kind of be a bit more sustainable. Print, as great as print is, it's a polluter. So, a lot of brands we work with, a lot of sort of partners we work with as well are doing things, moving towards a more sustainable model. So that's probably something that we're looking to do as well. But yeah, at the moment it's quarterly, so it's every 3 months. We've had a few out this year already. The last issue with KJ Pearson, that was in the back end of August. So yeah, we're launching our next one now at the start of 2023.
Absolutely. And talk to us about when you look at again newspapers, and they're trying that transformation that they've been going through over the years. Your love and your passion for magazines, for the written word. That's clearly led to you and your partner Tom pushing this through. At the time when you were going into it, did you have those doubts? Are we doing the right thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's wrong to not have doubts, and I think it's the doubts that kind of keep you on track and keep your mind on the goals you've set for yourself. I think when we started the magazine, we initially tried going down the funding route and getting some funds for it, and the kind of overarching opinion of let's just say the sort of white 50-year-old man handing out the money was that print is dead. But and that's an opinion you can have. I mean, if you look at print figures, especially within news journalism, they are waning. But there's been, especially since the pandemic, a massive resurgence in independent print media. And you only have to look at what's kind of going on in London at the moment, with magazines like So Young magazine. They kind of created their own kind of culture and in itself around their magazine, around the music and stuff, the bands that they feature. And then Mundial, who are, a major football magazine now. I think, there's space for these publications. And I think, people want these publications, independent, community-led publications.
That's it, isn't it? And if that demand is there, by all means, certainly, yes, get it out there. So, talk to us about, some of the artists that you've worked with. Are there names that you can drop for us where, they've gone on to do some great things?
So I mean, just going off the last kind of few issues, we've had Wolf Alice and Arlo Parks, who've both gone on to, be nominated and, for major awards like, the Mercury Prize. We've had, double Grammy winners, Black Pumas on the front of the mag. So, and then closer to home, people like Tim Burgess, bands like that, the Charlatans and people who are kind of, I guess intrinsic to Manchester and Northwestern music culture as well.
So it seems you've got your finger on the pulse, and these are big names that you've just mentioned here, names that we all know. I mean, you certainly, it's like you're Nostradamus. You can see what's happening. How do you keep on top of these things, and how do you predict what is coming, and how do you tell these are the ones that are going to take off the band?
I guess it's a bit of, luck and good judgment. I think, we've always sort of trusted our own taste since starting the magazine. We've never kind of, We've never kind of, pandied to demand and stuff. I think if we don't like it, it doesn't go in there. And I think that's the main thing for us. I think, we've got to believe in what we're selling, essentially, when you can put it down to a kind of a business point of view. But definitely it's, I wouldn't say it's so predicting, but I think it's just kind of, knowing that these artists are onto big things and are going to achieve big things. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's luck as well as judgment, really. I've got to be, truthfully honest. We pick artists and they do the work for us, I guess, in many ways.
And I suppose a love for what you do as well, isn't it? Because you're fully invested.
Oh yeah, for sure. We put our own money into this. No one's funding us. We've got no, kind of angel investor or big backer. It's definitely, it's a labor of love, but it's, it is one we do thoroughly enjoy. We thoroughly enjoy putting the print editions together. We thoroughly enjoy, running the website as well. So it's a labor of love, but yeah.
And how do you keep the big publications at bay if they want to come and buy, you can take over and seeing how it's doing so well?
I mean, if there are investors listening, I'll drop my number at the bottom of this. We're not going to turn down money. Obviously, you have to be the right person and stuff. But, I guess in many ways, we were kind of lucky with the pandemic because we had nothing to lose, really. We were an independent publication. We had no kind of big, sponsors or, no big liabilities business-wise. And, we've kind of seen people who are, been a lot bigger than we are. Q Magazine have kind of, faded into non-existence now because they simply couldn't keep on, relying on an advertiser-based model. So, it's hard out there. And I guess we were lucky with the pandemic. If anything, the pandemic was an advantage to us rather than a hindrance, as it has been to many sort of print publications.
And that's it, isn't it? And also the very artists who you're supporting, they're right behind you because they see the value in it. They gain from you probably putting the work out there. So absolutely, it works for everybody. So what can we expect in the next year or so?
Well, a lot of people have been asking us on our social channels at the moment, are we doing a subscription? It's something we haven't done yet. So, if there are people listening who are interested in that, all I'd say was, kind of keep your eyes peeled for early next year. We'll be launching something pretty big. And yeah, just, sort of more shows next year, more live shows. We're in the process of launching a radio show at the moment ourselves. So, keep an eye out for that, more podcasts, stuff like that. We're going big on the digital front next year, as well as, kind of maintaining our feet in the print world as well.
Absolutely fantastic. Tom Preece, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Just before we let you go, could you give us your handles so that we can the audience can connect with you? We'll put also in the description.
Yeah, of course. It's at Yuck Magazine on Instagram and Twitter, and I believe it's at Yuck Mag on Facebook. So we're all across all the social media platforms. But yeah, thanks for having me today, and yeah, big thanks to what you're doing for arts and culture in Manchester as well. It's great shining light on creative. So yeah,
Thank you.
no problem at all.
If you want some amazing inspiration, check out the videos next to me, and I'll see you right there.